Hi there, friends. Lainey here, and I'm checking in for my update for this week on where I'm at in my writing journey. So, I was thinking I didn't have a lot to talk about, but I realized that there are a couple of things I can share with you. So, I didn't have a writing sprint today with my normal group, but I did attend two other writing groups this week, as well as I signed up for and started a course online on fantasy book writing. And so all of those things created my experience this week. And so I thought that I would share a little bit about the progress that I made and what I'm doing with those things. The writing groups that I'm in, a couple of them, I think I'm in three. Two of them are more about author relationships and the writing itself, so they give us time to write. And one of them is more of a critique group where you read what you've been up to and you can get feedback from folks. We essentially work together to help improve each other's writing and our stories and things like that. So it's just really inspiring to work with people who make you better and make you feel like you're not on this journey alone. And that was a really nice thing that was going on this week for me. The fantasy writing course, I'm only a little bit in, but it's been really fun so far. A little bit about world building and the different types of fantasy. So learning a little bit about where my book might fit. I thought it was an epic because I'm picturing it in a way like a Lord of the Rings-ish epic, in that it's a big tale that kind of encompasses the world, things along those lines. But when I read the description of maybe what low fantasy is, I think that my story in some ways is more like that, because it really is more about the characters and there's less battling going on. I'll play with that a little bit more the more I get into this book and the story, but I think for the time being, I'm still going to call it a magical fantasy epic tale. So maybe it's not an epic in the way that some people think of an epic, but it's an epic tale in my head. So that's a little bit about what I've been learning about as world building in that course, just to reinforce that I'm in the right thinking as far as my world building. And I really feel like I'm in a good place, and this is helping me feel better, like I've done really good work so far because I've been focusing so much on the world building, and the things that I've thought about and the decisions that I've made are a lot of the things that the course is talking about. That's awesome. So my make it up as I go along approach seems to be working, I guess. And then the other thing that I started thinking about, what some of my social media is going to be in upcoming months. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about and put out there to start attracting my readers and connecting with the readers is a little bit about the magic that I'm creating. And I think it was the last video that I did where I talked about, but didn't say, what my magical creatures are going to be. I think, reveal that some of them are creatures with names that you've probably heard of. I think I disclosed that there are fairies because I just can't not have fairies. But I think two of my magical creatures are things that I've made up that I don't know that exist out there, at least with the name that I'm giving them. And then I'm creating the creatures to fit into my world. So they may have similarities to what we know these creatures to be in other stories, but they'll of course be tailored to my world. And because my world is so centered in purpose, they all have purpose in the world as well. That is what I've had worked on previously, as well as developing a little bit of the idea of what they were going to look like. And so as I thought about my social media, I was thinking it would be fun to really start introducing the types of magical creatures that I am going to be using in my stories and maybe putting out there what they look like. So I don't know for sure that's what I'm going to be doing, but point being, one of the things I started working on this week is I started working with AI to start some renderings based on the descriptions that I had developed on what my creatures are looking like, and it was really fun. I think in the end I'm going to go with an illustrator to come up with the true renderings for banners and things like that I might have at events and possibly book covers and along those lines. But for the time being, as I'm playing with this, I thought AI would be a great tool to use to start creating that imagery. And it did a really nice job. I did have to work with a little bit, but it really did a nice job in bringing my description to life. And I really think it's going to be exciting as I dive into the next phase of my writing journey, to have these images in my mind as to what these creatures are looking like, so that when we encounter them in the story, it makes it easier to write the story, because I can imagine what they look like, and how they look may lead into some of the things happening in the storyline, or may lead to something that happens within an interaction. So I'll give an example. One of the creatures that I'm creating is made of wind. And when I had described it, I had talked about what it looked like and how it flowed, its composition, eye color, things like that, and a little bit about shape, maybe making it a little bit humanoid. But that's all I gave it. And then the image that came back had butterflies in the creature's hair. And I loved that, because it made sense that there might be butterflies in the air. And this creature's of nature. And so to have nature be integrated naturally in that way, I thought that was a really interesting thing that AI helped me visualize. And what else can I do with that? What else does that mean? So again, as I get into the next phase, which is more into the actual writing, that might be something that happens, or something that I see, or something that is a detail that I share in the writing. And so that was just an exciting evolution. So I didn't get as far as the actual writing goes. I'm gonna get there. Signing up for the fantasy course was a little bit of a distraction. I have to reset and restart, and I'm just making sure that I'm in the right place and doing the right things. But I think my next phase and what I'll be working on is the plot development of what Act 1 is, Act 2, Act 3, and then plotting out what those scenes are going to look like. And one of the things that I got out of the fantasy course that I'm going to have to think about, because this is what I don't have, is when characters are going through this story, our hero kind of concept, we can't make it easy. And so that's really what drives a story, and what makes people continue reading is that they're progressing, and then there's a setback, and what do they do with that? Okay, and then there's this other thing that gets in the way. Okay, now they have to address that, and how do they progress through that, and so on and so forth. And so those are the things that actually make up the story. And so that's the part that I need to work on and put some thought into. And I don't know if I'm going to know it exactly when I start writing, or if it's going to happen when I'm writing. I'm not really sure. Probably a combination of both of those things, but that's what I feel like I'm going to work on next. So that's where I'm at in my journey. That's what I have been working on, and integrating what I worked on from last time and what you might see moving forward. So that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, I do appreciate you sharing this journey with me, and I will see you next time. Bye.